Hi, I'm Rebecca with Monit's Vocal Studio. Let's check in.
And that was also an amazing experience to be cast as somebody that wasn't my stereotype.
Once I call it stepping out of the matrix. You've been
It's
red
true.
pilled and like to see what really is, and
Right.
you don't buy the lies anymore. You don't look at the world the same, and suddenly it's like, oh, not too shabby, you know?
Correct. Once you accept yourself, you can start accepting others. And like I believe in that too, where it's like I think there's a saying of like you have to love yourself until you love other people. I believe in that 100%.
Hi, I'm Rebecca with Monit's Vocal Studio, and today's interview features Hannah Verdi. Do yourself a favor. You have to see this interview. She is way beyond her years, so wise, so intuitive, so confident, and she's a beam of light. Enjoy the interview. Hey!
Hi.
How are you, Hannah?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. It's so good to see you.
It has been so long. Oh my gosh.
Kidding. I know. Where's the time gone, right?
Right? I think it's been years since we've talked.
It's been years. Because what year are you in college right now?
I'm a junior.
Wow. That's crazy.
Oh,
I knew you when you were a
I
freshman in high school.
yes. That was like I think that was like the last time I saw you.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Well, thanks so much for doing this interview. What's that?
Oh, of course. I remember singing at your wedding.
That's right. You did. And you got the solo, didn't you?
Solo.
It was so beautiful. People were blown away. It was the best surprise ever.
Was it? Oh my God, it was so good. It was
Loved it.
awesome.
I'm dying to jump in. So I got to know, first of all, for those watching this who don't know you, would you tell them a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. Let's see. I'm from California originally. I moved here in 2012 to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho,
Okay.
and I got my high school degree at Coeur d'Alene High School, and then now I'm at U of I, and I'm studying theater. I'm getting my BFA in acting, and I'm taking vocal lessons still. I'm still doing shows. I really want to go to Broadway. That's my goal.
That's so cool.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of what else I got going on for me. Yeah, I would say that's pretty much me. I've done a bunch of shows here.
Yes.
I'm getting ready to move to New York in 2022 after I graduate at U of I.
Wow.
It's yeah, it's exciting.
Are you going to just jump right into auditions when you get to New York, or what are you going to do?
Yeah. Um, I have I have like thought about master's school, and I was like thinking, it never hurts to have something, on your belt. Like it doesn't hurt. Like I always thought about taking a minor just in case theater doesn't work, but isn't that just a terrible thought to have in your mind thinking, "Oh, what if my main dream doesn't work? At least I have something to fall back on like business."
Right,
I
right.
just think that's such a sad thing to keep in your head.
Hmm.
So, I mean, my main goal is just to, yeah, after I graduate, I have a friend who's waiting for me a year after she graduates, which is 21 in 2021.
Nice.
She graduates in spring of 21, and I graduate spring of 22. And she's waiting a year. She's going to save up money for a year. And then after I graduate, we're both moving to New York.
That's so cool.
And we're just going to audition and work and bust it out until we get something.
That's
Because
so
that's what I want to do.
That's so good. We got to so kind of going back in time real quick for anyone watching this. So I remember the first time I met you was when you did your audition at Canfield, remember? And
Yes.
I would always at the end of a school year come through to the middle schools that would come into
Yes.
Portland High School, and any students that wanted to audition for the choirs just to see where everyone was at. You'd sing something for me, do a little sight reading. And when you came in, I was like, this one has something. And I rarely would put freshmen. I mean, it's known. I mean, rarely would put freshmen into chambers, but I just knew that's where you needed to be. And that was powerful. And I would say, have people told you you have an old soul?
Yeah.
Yeah, you have a lot figured out. You had a lot figured out then. And when I met you, I thought, she's got a lot figured out. This is pretty, I imagine your life led you to that place where you had to have some stuff figured out.
Yeah, I like my dad left the picture at really early at an age, and finally I had to grow up really fast, and my mom did everything she could to make sure like I was safe and I got where I needed to be. She moved to Coeur d'Alene because she thought that was going to be a safer place for me to just grow up. And honestly, I think it was the best choice she could have made because I've made so many different connections here, and I still have connections in California, but the people that I've met here have indefinitely changed my life.
Wow, that's awesome.
I'm
So
really
that's pretty cool. Yeah, Coeur d'Alene is a hub, isn't it?
It really is. There are so many people here that I've met. I remember I've only done one community show here. The rest I've done like high school shows or college shows.
Yeah.
But I did one community show with Aspire Community Theater like right when they opened. And when I did that show, I was introduced to so many different people just by doing one show. I made probably over 50 to 100 connections of different people that all of a sudden just knew who I was.
Yep.
And
Yep.
it was just crazy to see like the telephone of so many people that I've met, and I'm like, I barely even know you.
Right. That is so cool. When your name comes up with students that you're working with that I know from my voice studio,
Yeah.
they have so much respect for you and they look up to you
Really?
so much. Yeah. It's sometimes hard to tell because people, they put their game face on. You know what I mean?
I
That's what
guess.
we do. We're all about self-preservation to an extent, right? But
Mhm.
they respect you and respect your insight and what you bring to the table. And it's powerful at your age to have so much
Blows
confidence.
I'm only 20. Like it blows my mind to think that people see me as like a higher up or like just like a teacher. Like it's mind-boggling because I direct musical theater at Coeur d'Alene High School still for competitive drama. And just working with like those 8 pieces that I create for these kids, like I don't know, to like demand the power, it's crazy. I feel like it's like I learned it all from like Jared, you know?
Yes, yes, Mr. Helm.
Mr.
Amazing, huh?
I know. Love that man. Gosh.
Me
Uh,
too. What an amazing person. And the truth is when you've got it, you've got it. It's a thing. And I've talked about this with different people and including Mr. Helm, that there's a thing that you have to have. And it's not something you can learn. You
no.
can learn work ethic, you can learn, there are things you can do, but there's a thing that you have to have.
And I can't even pinpoint it. I mean, I know that for a fact he was always just about spreading goodwill, and I live by that because if you're not good at heart, how are you going to make it? If you're
Yes,
so bitter, no one's going to want to work with you. I've met so many bitter people in my life in this theater community
yes,
that, they just when you say their name, like these directors, these actors just have that bad taste in your mouth.
yes,
It's like, why would you want that to follow you?
totally. Yeah.
So if you have goodwill, I mean, you'll thrive in this community.
Yes, yes, I know. And I've done shows with people that are everything from the most toxic to the most life. They just bring everyone when they enter a space. Everyone's like, "Oh, it's so and so." One of those people I remember doing a few shows with Patrick Treadway. He's an actor and based out of Spokane, and
Okay.
what a beam of light. He's one of those
Right?
people. He was just kind to everybody. And I didn't always have that experience. Like I liked to be the wallflower because I was a full-time teacher at Coeur d'Alene High School who did
Yeah.
Coeur d'Alene Summer Theater in the summer when there were when gigs came up. And I just was kind of, when I, got a gig, was just kind of quiet. And I would observe and see like who treats people certain ways and who treats other people certain ways based upon who's important. And it was always fun to make those observations, like who was kind to no matter who was in the show, how big
Yeah.
their part was, and no matter what, like who did what part, who had, was holding the stick stage right. It's like, I would
Really?
powerful, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
100.
So what are you noticing right now in your neck of the woods down at U of I as a getting your degree with the world that we're living in today? Like, what is it like being a student today?
Rough. It's really rough. I would to say the least. I mean, there are people that, actually do enjoy like online schooling, and then there are people that are just like, ugh, like they absolutely hate the idea of online school. I'm in the middle. I can tell you that I've definitely strived in college more than I did in high school. So like I'm really good with just taking normal classes in college than I was in high school. I don't know, but like the being in high school felt like an obligation. Being in college, I'm taking what I want to take and
Yeah.
I'm going to work for it.
Hmm.
And so now I have all of these, I have grades that are way better. I'm above a 3.5, and in high school I didn't have that.
Right.
I was struggling all the time.
Wow.
But being in college as a student, you have to adapt. I definitely we're doing Zoom shows right now,
Okay.
which is kind of hard to wrap your mind around when you're so used to performing live. And you would think, oh, Zoom could be just like film. It's not. It's not at all. And every theater person will tell you that theater is not meant for Zoom. It's just not.
Right.
But the only thing we have is Zoom. So what my teacher David Lee Payne told me is that you can't be a diva about it, and you just have to adapt and learn. And
Right.
you just have to do it. You don't have a choice. It's just something that you have to learn as an actor. It's what the world is in today. And by adapting and learning, you will grow from it and you'll be ready to go.
That's so cool.
So it's just something that I get to put under my belt, like on my resume. I've done Zoom shows.
Exactly. Right. You've learned how to do a show under very particular circumstances.
Yeah. Like right now, I'm in Christmas Carol. We're doing a staged reading of A Christmas Carol, directed by Craig Miller at U of I. And I'm the ghost of Christmas Present and a caroler. So it's so funny to kind of do this because we're all doing it from the comfort of our own home. And so right now I have two different backdrops set up in my bedroom. I have one regular backdrop, and then I have a green screen with two different computers to use for two different characters with lighting and a backdrop to hook up onto Zoom and voice effects. I have a microphone. It's insane. It's so much. But we're also learning how to be our own technicians
Right.
as well as an actor, as well as learning to you have to bring so much to the screen in order to keep people, in it, in order to keep people interested in what you're doing. Because if you're not like up in the screen and talking and using different like
Yeah.
areas of the screen, like people are just going to be bored and they're just going to like go on their phone and just like play it on the TV or their computer and not listen.
Right. Right.
And that's my biggest fear for being an audience member during Zoom shows is you're just not as connected. There's just something missing.
Hmm. Right. That's good insight. And I have a
Mhm.
question for you. Do you
Yeah.
have a dream role that you'd like to tackle?
I actually played my dream role. I was Joe March in Little Women last
Nice.
December, and I had been wanting to play that role ever since I learned about theater.
Right.
She was just my favorite character from like just reading her in the books, and then I found out it was a musical, and I was like, oh my god, my worlds are colliding. And I got the chance to play her at U of I last year, and it was,
Wow.
oh my God, it was gorgeous. It was the best. I think it was one of the best shows I've ever been in. It was just stunning. Like the set design, the music, the actors that we had playing, like my co-actors were just stunning. There are some of my longtime friends that I got to work with. Right now, I would say, other than Joe March, it would be like Nina from In the Heights. I love In the Heights. I love it. I love them telling the story of, Mexican American culture in New York. Like, oh, stunning. So I would
Wow.
love to portray my own culture. I would love to portray that for sure.
That is so cool. One thing I like to ask people that have done a lot of shows and have done a lot of auditioning, what is one of your best audition experiences?
My best audition experience. I auditioned for. I remember so when I did my first community show, it was Catch Me If You Can with Aspire Community Theater, and I had never auditioned for anything other than a high school show at this point. And I was like, you know what? I'm not doing any shows right now. It's not colliding with my schedule. My mom's like, go for it. Why not? So I do it. And I walk in, I sing my little song, do my little monologue. And I expected to be in the ensemble at most. I didn't really expect, no one knew me. I knew no one. I had no connections whatsoever. Uh, so I was just this one person that knew no one, and I go in, and then I get a call back for the female lead, and I was like, huh, okay, because it was a love interest, and also being plus size. That's not a character I'm cast as ever. I am never the love interest. I'm never really the lead all the time. And so just by being my size, it's just not a thing. And I'm so used to being, like the fat supporting character. But, I was called back for a character I'm never called back for, and I got the part. And I was blown away. And that was also an amazing experience to be cast as somebody that wasn't my stereotype.
Right.
That was awesome.
That is, and we don't see a ton of that. I think it's moving more in that direction,
Yes.
but throughout history, we didn't see that.
No, you never see it. And I've always talked about how we can't, you'll never see a fat actress be a love interest without them mentioning their size.
Right.
They always have to, whether it's film or theater, even like Hairspray, like it has to be revolving around their size, about their weight. If
Right.
you have a fat love interest, you're gonna hear about it nonstop throughout the entire show, throughout the entire movie.
And it
Like
gets old, doesn't it?
it
Doesn't
does
it
get
get old?
old. It's like, why can't we just see somebody fall in love with someone and not really care about their size?
Right. That's a good point. I've had this conversation with a friend of mine who has navigated, plus size, and she's very proud of who she is, and she should
Mhm.
be.
Yeah.
But, we were talking about this very thing because I've had weight stuff my whole life, off and on, off and on. And
Right.
it's been a thing. My physical appearance has been something I used to really be obsessed and insecure about. Now I'm like, this is who I am.
Whatever.
It's beautiful, right? But I said, it's fascinating how our culture, but there are a group of people, if not the majority, that struggle with seeing a woman that doesn't fit the status quo as joyful, living her life to the fullest, and not being the fat chick. Does that make sense? Like just being
Yeah.
someone functioning in the world who loves their life and has confidence. Like it's almost like, how dare you be confident and be cool with who you are because, before reaching the threshold of what society has told you you must have before you
Yeah.
are allowed to be happy. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, we talk about that kind of stuff a lot because it's funny to watch people. Like it's funny when you see people that are not happy with themselves, but they look perfect,
Right.
and how they can look at someone that doesn't fit the mold and they're thriving and they struggle with that because
Almost
it's
every
wait a
person I
second.
know deals with that. Yeah.
Yes, really?
Yeah. Oh, so many, like I have so many friends in my life, even people that are, a lot smaller than me, and they're like, "Oh, I'm so fat." I used to have a roommate who would look in the mirror right in front of me and go, "Oh my God, I'm so fat. I need to lose weight." And I'm looking at her and I'm like, "Girl, you are under 150 pounds."
Wow.
And you're telling that to me?
Right?
I'm like, "I'm
Right.
happy." I'm like, "Why aren't you happy?" I'm happy. I mean, of course, there are times in my life where I look at myself in the mirror and I'm just like, oh, like, and you just bring yourself down for it. But, like, what is the point of just dwelling on it when you could just be happy?
Right.
You
Well, I
could
think
just,
the ticket, be content.
yes.
Well, and I think the ticket is knowing who you are.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
I think once I call it stepping out of the matrix. You've
It's
been red
true.
pilled and like to see what really is, and
Right.
you don't buy the lies anymore. You don't look at the world the same, and suddenly it's like, oh, not too shabby,
Once you accept yourself, you can start accepting others. And like I believe in that too, where it's, like I think there's a saying of like you have to love yourself until you love other people. I believe in that 100%. You can't go out and love other people and give all of these people so much love when you can't even stop and give yourself love.
Right?
Cuz I mean I just feel like that's so selfish. It's not selfish. I mean, I guess it could be like selfish to yourself of just not giving yourself the time that you need. Like, what about you?
Right?
What about yourself?
Right? Right? Well, and then you're not really helping people if you don't know who you are, and you're not looking in the mirror at who and seeing who you are and accepting who it is, and becoming the person that really you're meant to be on this planet. I have those conversations all the time because it does tie in.
Right?
Fascinating because when I teach voice, all of the you probably have found this in when you're doing theater, your stuff shows up. You got to face stuff, right? It's like
Yeah.
performing is a dross producer, and dross is when they put metals into the, like when they're producing like fine metals,
Yeah.
they'll put it into the hottest part of the fire to get all the dross out.
Right.
And when we're on stage and we're performing or we're singing something, that stuff produces dross that we can face or we can suppress, right?
I just recently took this class. It's called Animals, and it's not offered at many schools. But this class is where we go out. We went out into our old arboretum, which is like this really old dry forest attached to our campus. And me and like the rest of our class and our teacher, we go out there and we choose an animal, a predatorial animal. I was a black bear, and we go out there and we become this animal, and we go throughout the entire semester growing as a human being and this animal, and kind of like looking into certain parts of us that we really don't allow shine, like aggressiveness.
Right.
Like that was a big one for me, like aggressiveness, being aggressive. We would have to like attack each other and kill each other, and we would revive right after and keep going throughout the class. But we also got mates. We got babies, where we took care of our babies. We had so many obstacles and so many things, and we would call it scenes. So whenever we would interact with a different animal, it would be a scene, and or a play, a scene or a play, whichever one you want to call it. And we would interact with each other. One will die, and then that person will process their death, get up, and start again. Kind of like a scene where, say you mess up in a scene, you stop, you get the note, you process it, and you do it again. Same with like auditioning, failing. You don't get the role, you stop, you process what had happened, see what you can do better, get up, do it again.
Yes.
That's all. That is theater. And if you can't accept the failure, how are you gonna grow as an actress? An actor?
Absolutely. That's so beautiful. I tell students all the time, fail big. Because
Right?
how do we fix it?
Literally. I remember, like, I still do this to this day. Like, I'll sing it out loud, even when I'm practicing music, like singing it out loud. I remember I would be like all quiet, be like, try not to like sound really bad. And I just remember you like calling us all out. It's like, just sing it! Just sing it out loud!
Go for it. Yeah.
It's true. How else are you gonna learn that you're doing it wrong? How else are you gonna grow as a performer?
Exactly. I know. And it's funny because I have I have people that are 50 plus that start taking lessons for the first time. And they'll tell me it's been my dream to sing forever, but they've held back because whatever, life happened. Sure. And they'll come in and they'll kind of come up to the hurdle and they'll see the hurdle and run back and try it again and run back. And I'm like, you got to smack into that hurdle, honey. You got to know how to clear the hurdle. And how do you know until you take the leap?
Right.
And it's scary, And so I have found, interestingly, that the arts is a really powerful place to do that very thing, to flex that muscle, don't you think?
They want you to fail. They want you to fail in order to grow.
Yeah.
And that's all it takes. Like, just like, if you're going to crack, you're going to crack.
Right.
Like, if you crack, you crack. Oh, well, c'est la vie.
Yeah, exactly.
We all mess up. You can look up some of the famous performers in history and look up famous performer mess up. There's compilations of people who mess up all the time. You're not.
Oh my gosh, yes. Yeah. You're right. Do a YouTube search.
Yeah, I've done it all the time. When I was Joe in Little Women, there was a moment where I got really, really sick right when we opened the show. And it was like the week of tech, and we were getting everything ready, and my voice was shot. I had no idea what was going on. I was going to the doctors left and right. We couldn't figure anything out. They had to give me a steroid shot.
Wow.
And in order for me to actually sing and like put on the show. And it's just like moments like that where things are going to happen, things are going to come your way, but you just got to like go with it. You can't, like, the show will go on.
That's good.
It'll still go on. Just keep going.
Keep going. And yeah, you're right. I saw an opera at Seattle Opera years ago, and there was the lead tenor. He was sick. He had laryngitis. You could tell the whole time, and he just kept going. And no one obviously was there to take his spot.
Yep.
And at the very end, he went to go hit the high note, and he tried, but his voice stopped completely. But he kept going. But you could tell this man did not make any excuses. He like crawled across that finish line, and when it came time for curtain, everyone gave him a standing ovation because the audience understood that you're a human being who gets laryngitis, but kudos to show up because no one was there to take your spot.
Like, you're human.
Yeah, I'll never forget that. That was powerful for me.
That is powerful. Oh my God.
We're not looking for perfection. You know, it's the journey, not the destination. It's the growth.
It is.
So any insight as we're, thanks so much for taking the time today. Any wisdom, any insight for people that are in middle school, high school, and they have a dream to pursue what you're pursuing? Any insight to keep in their back pocket while they're still in middle school and high school?
I would say if you really want to do it, do it. Understand that it is a hard business and that you're going to have a lot of fails until you get a success. And you may feel like you're doing it wrong. You're not. You really can't do it wrong. Like, there's so many ways you could do it right. There's so many ways you could do it wrong. But as long as if you keep kindness in your heart and goodwill in your pocket, and you move forward and you accept that you will fail and you process it and you move forward, you can have a chance at doing something that you will love forever.
That's awesome.
That's what I would say. That's what I live by.
You can't go wrong with that.
You can't go wrong as long as you allow yourself to fail and grow from it and proceed with whatever is left in front of you. You'll be fine. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Wow, that's awesome. Thank you so much, Hannah. This has been so great to talk to you.
Oh my God, it was so good to see you, Monique.
Me too. Oh my gosh. Well, I want to wish you a happy Thanksgiving. Have a beautiful week off.
Yes, you too. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Enjoy some time off. And I'm so excited to see you, and best wishes to you. I'm so excited for your journey coming up in New York.
Oh, thank you so much. Much love.
You too. Bye, Hannah.
Bye.